All right, we're now learning a Sikha. We're continuing the Sikha of the Rebbe on Parshat Yitro. Parshat Yitro. It is a Sikha of the Rebbe that he said in 1957, 6 years after he began to be the leader of Chabad. And because Chabad has taken on itself to wake up all the Jewish people with the intention of the Jewish people waking up all of the world. Waking up to what? To how much God loves us and how close He is to us and how much potential each person has and how much responsibility we have to God and to the world to fix it up and make it a better place using our godly potential. So in order to do this, you have to have a little bit of trust in God and you have to have happiness and you have to this, but the main thing, you have to know what to do. And you have to know that what you're doing is what God wants you to do, and you have to have the power to do it. And that's what happened in Mount Sinai. At Mount Sinai, God gave us the Torah so we know what to do. And He also gave us Himself. He gave us the power and the happiness and the joy, the positiveness that we can actually carry it out. And what does He want us to do? To make this physical world into the place that God intended it to be when He created it. Namely, a place of infinite potential. Infinite potential. There's not much potential in the upper worlds, in the spiritual worlds. Everything is pretty much revealed. In this world, everything is concealed. And to bring it from its concealed state to be revealed makes it even higher than all of the upper worlds. And that's why the Torah was given. So another way of saying this is that the Torah was given in 5 voices. And the Rebbe brings what the voices are. There were Kolot Ubrakim, Kol Shofar. Another times says Kol Shofar. And then it says Moshe Yodaber B'Shem Yanenu B'Kol. So it says 5 times the word Kol, which means voice. And it says in the Talmud, in the Gemara, in Brachot, that anyone who makes a chatan, a groom, happy, as he merits to the 5 voices that the Torah was given in, because by a chatan it also says kol chatan, kol kala, kol chatan. So the Rebbe has the question: good, it's a good thing to make a groom happy. That's a good thing. And when God gave the Torah to the Jews, it was like a groom, and the Jewish people were a bride. But why do you merit to these 5 voices? And what are the 5 voices? What in the Torah was given in 5 voices? What do we care how many voices? What is it? What are the voices? So the Rebbe says the voices are 5 different ways God revealed Himself from concealment. That's what a voice is. A voice, when a person is silent, you don't know what's inside of him. As soon as his voice comes out, it pushes the words out so you can tell what he's talking about, what he wants, what a person is thinking, what a person's emotions are. What's he got on his mind, what he has on his heart. So that's the idea of voices. Says the Rebbe, these 5 voices represent 5 different types of life or existence in this world. Mineral, rocks, plant, animal, and human. And all of these 4 levels in a way are totally different one from the other. Well, almost totally. So there's certain common factors that they have. One common factor is they all exist. And then there are certain factors that totally differentiate one from the other to the point that you have to have 4 different levels. So that's the 4 voices. And these are also represented by the 4 different worlds. Asiya is the lowest world, Yetzirah, Bria, and Atzilus, which is the highest. Atzilut is the highest. And this comes from the 4 letters of God's name. Yud is the highest name. Hey is the second. There's 2 Heys. Vav is the third. And the last Hey is the lowest of the names, corresponding to, if you start from the bottom up, it corresponds to, the last Hey is like rocks. That's the world of Asiya. The Vav, that's right above it, that corresponds to plants, that's like the world of Yetzirah. The Hey that's above that corresponds to animals, that's like the world of Bria. And the Yud, that corresponds to the world of Atzilus. Now the Rebbe is going to say that inside of the human being are also these 4 levels of mineral, plant, animal, and human. The mineral aspect of man are the letters that he is able to speak. Letters. Syllables, letters. Without any emotions, without any sense, without putting them together. Letters. The ability of a human to put out letters, that in a way makes him a speaker, a medaber, a speaker. Above that, inside of the man, is the plant aspect of a human being. Those are his emotions, because emotions grow like a plant does. Above that is what's called a person's intellect. Intellect is really what differentiates a human being from an animal to a great extent. But above that even is the ability to speak. The ability to convince others. Well, so let's talk about this. Let's go. Let's first of all. Hamid Daber, Zion. We're now on paragraph 7. Zehu ha'hezber lakach. This is the explanation. Previously the Rebbe was explaining the difference between rocks, plants, and animals. Each one is more mobile. Rocks don't move at all. Plants move, but only up there, attached to the ground. Animals aren't even attached to the ground. But humans have this thing which is called seichel, intelligence. Zeu hezber lekach. This is the explanation. Shedavka lemedaber. That only to humans, yesh mehut emitit, is really the expression of nefesh v'ruchniut, of a soul and spirituality. Now again, the Rebbe is explaining all this because he wants to tell us that the Torah was given in 5 voices. The world shows 4 of them. All the creation, plant, animal, plant, vegetative, mineral, plant, animal, and human. That's the 4 voices, and the Torah is above them. The Torah comes from the Creator himself. So we're talking about what man is. What's the advantage of man over animals? Man has seichel, intellect. Intellect, that is a true example of spirituality. Because the advantage of a human being on an animal whose seichel is intellect. The human beings have intellect. Therefore, malot which are above. Okay, now, animals also have a certain type of intellect. We can see foxes and things, they can be trained. They can remember things. But it's not like human intellect, and you'll see why. What is human intellect? Seichel, Aleph. Seichel, eno mugdar. It is not limited, ve'eno muchtav, and it is not determined al yedei hagbalot shel teva, by any limitations of nature. And the nature of human nature or emotions. Lefichach, therefore, kiven she'adam hu bal seichel, since a person has this ability which is called intellect, it is not like animal intellect. Animals use their intellect only to get what they want. In other words, their emotions rule over their intellect. An animal wants something, he loves something, he's afraid of something. His intellect becomes a servant for these emotions, and his intellect determines how he can get the thing he wants to or get away from the thing that he's afraid of. A person does not have to remain in the same pattern that is his natural way. A person by his nature, he's afraid, he's timid, his intellect can change that. A person by his intellect, by his nature, he's very coarse. He's very, cruel. His intellect can change that. A person by his nature is lustful. He's addicted to things. His mind can change it. A human being can change. An animal can't change. Maybe a human being can come and tame an animal, can teach an animal, but an animal on his own can't. An animal, for instance, doesn't have a conscience. An animal can't say, "Well, I really feel bad. I killed that baby deer." The lion doesn't. The lion has his nature. His nature can't say it's guilty for what it did. There are laws that if an ox gores someone or an animal kills you, you have to kill the animal. But it's not because the animal is guilty. It's because the animal is dangerous. A human being can change his nature. An animal cannot change his nature. His intellect cannot rule over his emotions. A human has what we call free choice. To choose his way. That's the essence of a human being. He has free choice. And where is free choice? The seat of free choice in the intellect. That's why I just think it's so foolish. There's these, now in America especially, there's these people that they're pro-abortion. You heard about this, right? So the argument is pro-life or pro-choice. Are you for life, right? The baby's life? Or are you for choice? The mother is a human being. She has a right to choose what she wants. You can't, right? You can't force the woman to have a baby if she doesn't want to. Isn't that right? Because the main thing is free choice. Well, that's ridiculous. It's really insane because the essence of a human being is free choice. So the more human beings you have in the world, the more free choice there is. The more abortions that are done, the less human beings there are. So there's less free choice. So those people who are pro-abortion, they're anti-life and they're also anti-choice. They have the choice of all these babies that could have been born.
They've hijacked the language again. They've used the question is really not choice, but to kill or to live.
Pro-choice or anti-life.
The question with the answer.
Listen, the thing is, in America, because America is not a religious country, so you sort of can't expect them right now, at least, to go according to what it says in the Torah. And also because you have all these pseudo-rabbis or whatever they're called. They call themselves rabbis that say it's okay. Abortion is all right. But at least the point is in America, at least it shouldn't be encouraged. Right? This thing of LGBT and abortion, it's encouraged in America. That's the bad thing. Man, let's say a person wants to do it, okay, but a person should know if he's doing an abortion, he's actually killing a child. Good, if that child endangers his life, then it's you against the child, and then you have to make a decision, a hard decision to make. But just to kill a child because it's easier for you, on the other hand, the government should have some more means of taking care of unwanted children. But I'm sure they do have something. I don't know exactly how it goes. But the idea is, what is encouraged? That's the point. Is it encouraged that you are God, you can do what you want to kill babies, do whatever you want. No one can tell you what to do. Or should that way of thinking be discouraged? In other words, that's basically what it's saying here. If a person uses his mind only to get what he wants, what his emotions say, then that's not a human being. That's not the uniqueness of a human being. The uniqueness of a human being is that he can use his mind to decide what's right. He can use his mind to follow his conscience. But his conscience also has to be educated properly. Right? In communist Russia, a person's conscience bothered him if his parents had money hidden in the under the pillow or something, and he didn't turn his parents into the government. A person felt pangs of consciousness, right? Pangs of conscience. My father is anti whatever is revolution, and I am hiding my father. They felt an obligation to inform, even though if their parents would get killed. But what can you do? It's fine. So conscience has to be educated. There's no doubt about it. That's what the Torah is here. But nevertheless, don't throw conscience out the window. And that's what the person's mind is supposed to be. So it says seichel. That's what's called seichel. Conscience is an aspect of seichel, of intelligence. That intelligence can decide against the emotions. A person can be, God forbid, in Auschwitz. Like this Professor Viktor Frankl, he's in Auschwitz, death all around, the worst thing in the world, right? No future in front of him. But nevertheless, his mind told him, you have to find something to survive for. You have to find. That's the reason why Ha'adam, a person, kolel b'tocho, includes inside of himself, kol suge and ivroim, all the types of creations. Hanimtsaim b'habriya, which are in the creation. Therefore, a man is called olam katan. He's called a small world. Ki enu mugbal b'gadoni, because a human being has no limitations. That's the aspect of intellect. Intellect is not limited to the pressures of the world. Beit, tchunot sotzio seichel, another tchuna, how do you say, one of the there's an aspect, but there's a better word of add than aspect. Okay. One of the aspects of seichel is intellect. Letzeit me'atzmo litromem yoter l'mayla. Not only that nothing in the world can affect it, it can defy the world, but even more, it has a desire in itself, not just the desire of defiance, but of elevation, to see a bigger picture, to raise dimension. Gam b'kach mitbateh ha'evdel ha'ikri ben adam. This also expresses the difference between a human being, that his main thing is intellect, lebein bali chaim, and animals. An animal wants to remain at the same level. An animal wants, what do you call, homeostasis. If you could just give an animal, a lion, whatever, just give him food all the time, he'll take food. They did a test, a well-known, famous test, I forget who did it, that they put these electrodes in rats' heads, electrode, and exactly on the point where if it fired off a very, very small electric impulse, it would give the rat pleasure. It would have the same pleasure as eating and as sex. And they would put these electrodes in the rats' heads, and there was a lever on this side of the cage and a lever on the other side of the cage. And the rat would press this lever, and he would get pleasure. Sometimes he'd have to press it 10 times, sometimes 20 times, sometimes 2 times, but he would press it. But once he got pleasure one time, he couldn't get any more. Right? Wouldn't get any more. So the rat would eat, he would whatever, there was a female rat there, whatever, and then he touched the lever, and he got pleasure. Oh, so he started touching it more and more, until he realized maybe the other level. So he'd go over with the lever, and he would touch that lever. And then he would back to the other lever. So eventually the rat sort of caught on that by pushing these levers and alternating, or maybe they didn't even alternate, maybe it was just the same lever, I don't know. In any case, that by pressing these levers, as he would get pleasure, and he would have the same pleasure as he would from these two things. So eventually what they discovered, without exception, that the rats left actual food and actual female rats, and they just pressed the lever. They just pressed the lever. In other words, until they would die. They would die from hunger. They were literally from hunger. They wouldn't eat. They wouldn't actually eat. They would just go for the pleasure, because an animal cannot break out of on its own. It can't break out of its own nature. Its nature is to feel good. Can't break out of it. Can't break out of it. A human being, on the other hand, can. A human being has the ability to look objectively at the situation. That's number one. And number two, a human being can raise out of his animalness to a humanness. And once his mind starts to work, he wants to raise even higher and higher. This is the famous thing with Plato, and that the philosophers are the humans, the superior level of humans, right? He had the whole world divided up, and there was in the world, and there were statesmen, and there was soldiers, and there was musicians, and artisans, and then there was the simple workers, right? Like one of these ant colonies. But the ultimate human being was the philosopher, because he was always searching for higher dimensions of reality and how to look at the world in a more how do you say, huh? In a more truthful way, right? The world. Okay, all these great philosophers, whether Kant and Spinoza and these people, great philosophers, all of them basically came to basically the same conclusion, and that is, whatever feels good, do. There's just you can just get to higher levels of feeling good, and but most of them came to sort of the conclusion, especially Spinoza, as the Hindu way of looking at the world, that the world is a big fake out, and that purpose of the world is to get pleasure, but there's spiritual pleasures which make the physical pleasures like nothing. So go for the spiritual stuff. And the spiritual pleasures, that's not so active, running around after. So it's almost the same thing as the mouse pressing the lever. Right? In other words, once you get these spiritual pleasures, you won't care about real food or real, women or real anything. You just want this spiritual pleasure. So it's something like the mouse, it's just that the lever is a little bit higher. Says the Rebbe, but nevertheless, that is the nature of intellect. The nature of intellect is to go out of itself, litromem, and to elevate higher, to live in find a higher dimension of reality than you are now. Gam bekach mitbateh, also this is the difference between a man, that the essence of man is intellect, and an animal. That is, the main thing of an animal is his nature and his emotions. Sharuach adam ola lamayla, like it says, the spirit of man goes up. Varuach habehema, and the spirit of an animal goes down. That's written in Ecclesiastes. Kehelet. Behema nimshachat en gufi. An animal is always drawn to physical things lower than itself. Shalmata, and a human being is always above. Okay, now the Torah, we're going to say, is a level which is higher than all these other four. It's higher than mineral, plant, animal, and even human, the Torah. So we haven't gotten to the Torah yet. Okay, so a man, we said, human beings are what we call an olam katan, a small world. In other words, every human being contains in him all of the four aspects of the world. The four letters of God, the four levels of creation, Atzilus, Bria, Zim, and more exactly, the four aspects of creation: mineral, plant, animal, human. Let's see. First of all, the mineral aspect. Because a person is a olam katan, a person is what's called a small world, like we said before in this 7th paragraph, previous paragraph, what we just finished learning. Move, and it's understood. Shakol arba sugim, that all of these four types of life, domem, tzameach, chayim, adaber, mineral, plant, animal, and human, sheme'em murkav olam katan, that constitute this big world, kayim is begiloi, they are in a revealed way in a small world, which is man. And it's true that in every man there's also the four letters of God, but you can't see that. What can you see? You can see in man, you can see the mineral aspect, plant aspect, animal aspect, and human aspect of man. V'lo rak b'gufo, not only his body, elegam b'nafsho, also in his soul. Kanema, like it says in the Torah, Chassidic, like in the teachings of Chassidut, that the letters, the letters that a person speaks, a baby says letters, that's what's called the mineral aspect, the inanimate part of his soul. Hamidos, emotions, that is the tzomech, that is the plant part. Seichel, intellect, that's the animal part. And the source of speech, that is the human part. Let's put this all together, we're going to see. So what is the Rebbe doing here? The Rebbe is explaining the whole entire creation. And not just the whole entire creation, but even more, what's the purpose of the creation? Let me just open this window a little bit here. It's like this. Mahuto shel otiot. What are letters? Milashan ataboker. The word for letter.
Started to get all together. Want to hear. You started the whole together. Want to hear that.
Which?
You started to explain before you came to the window. To explain all together. So I wanted to hear that.
Right.
The whole and how it comes together.
We'll see it later. We're going to see later. What it comes together is what the Torah is for. What is this whole thing about? The whole thing is explaining why did God give the Torah in 5 voices? And what is the purpose of the Torah? Is the Torah just another book? It's a religious book. It's a book for the Jews. Right? It's another aspect. There's all sorts of things in the world. There's science. There's art. There's action, and there's religion, and then there's different religions, and one of the religions is the Torah. Says the Rebbe, no. Not. There is what's called the creation, and all those things are in the creation, religion and art and music, and there's the creator. The creator. There's only one creator, and there's only one creation. There's creation. The creation contains in it the spiritual worlds, the physical world, all the variations of the world. And there's one creator. God creates everything there is. All the gods that the other religions worship, God creates those. It's the spiritual thing. There's one creator and one creation. When God gave the Torah, He revealed what He wants from the creation. The Torah is explaining what He wants from the whole entire creation. Like the Maimonides says, when Mashiach comes, He'll reveal the real purpose of the Torah. That's what Chassidic Chabad did. That's why every Rebbe of Chabad is the Mashiach of his generation. And all of the non-Jews will drop all the religions. Because all the religions are just small, selfish ways of interpreting the world. And Judaism is talking about how to use the whole entire creation, especially yourself, to serve the Creator. Right? That's what the Torah is given for. When God gave the Torah, it was the first time and the only time He ever revealed to the world why He created the world, what He wants people to do. That's what the Torah is. But we're going to talk about that. But first of all, the Rebbe wants to analyze everything more, so we'll feel it, we'll understand it more exactly. What I said is a very nice thing. It's a nice idea, a philosophical idea, right? Our religion is better than all the religions say the religion is better. That's the unique thing about Judaism, is that. But what about the details? God is found in the details, not these generalizations like I'm making, like this. So let's see what the Rebbe talks about. The explanation is like this: inside of man are also all of these 4 aspects of creation: mineral, plant, animal, human. The mineral of man are the letters of speech. Emotions are like plants. Intellect is animal. We'll see why. And the source of speech, that's the human part of man. Good? We'll see. Because animals do have seichel. Animals do have intelligence. Plants don't have any intelligence. Animals do have intelligence. You can train animals. Animals can recognize you. Right? They have a certain intelligence where they have a power of recognition. Right? There's people that they brought up lions from when they were cubs. Person goes out, I saw, goes into the jungle, yells, all of a sudden this huge, massive lion comes jumping out, starts jumping all over him and hugging him and kissing him. I saw another one, or some person who has an alligator that would come out.
Yeah,
He would
then he ate them.
come out of the, or maybe it was only after he After he, no, it didn't. He didn't. It could be that they fed the land first, but I doubt it. No, it's not so. They really do. There's people that the animal recognizes. He recognizes.
And eats them.
Huh? Listen, it says in the book of Daniel that all the lions recognize the godliness of Daniel, and because of that, it says in the Tanya, what is it, 24th chapter of Igeros HaKodesh.
But that's Daniel. Okay.
No, Igeros, 24th chapter of the Tanya.
These Meshuggahs who go out into the forest and meet up with the lion that they raised or the bear that they think they know, a lot of them get eaten.
Sometimes
the animal reverts back to its real nature.
That animal has its right, its nature. It's true. To train them 100%, I don't know if it's possible. It always happens. You're right. There are people who bring up animals. There was some guy, a big magician in
this guy's in
Las Vegas. Las Vegas, somebody, and he brought up these lion cubs from when they were small, tigers, whatever it is, and they were great. They worked until one day they weren't great. One day they just all attacked him. They went crazy. Okay, it happens, but people do the same thing. People do the same thing. People go to the yeshiva, people go to whatever it is, and they learn how to be religious people and cultured people and kind people and nice people. All of a sudden, somebody gets them mad. Their wife burns their scrambled egg in the morning, and the guy goes crazy. Right? It happens. Right? It happens. It's not only limited to animals. It's not. First of all, there are in human beings, we have what's called letters. What is a letter? Letter is ata, comes from the language of to express, come. Comes, ata, means come out, coming out. He amshacha v'gila, this is a revelation. In other words, yechunan shalaoteot, the uniqueness of letters from all the other powers of the soul is that letters, all the other powers of the soul are attached to the person himself. Emotions, they mitarot et adam. They describe the person. Is this person a kind person, or is he a strong person? What type of a person is? That's mostly his emotions show what type of person. The ilu otiot, but the letters, hemra kelim, they're just vessels. Letters. A baby comes, says aga ba ma ma la ba. Speaks doesn't make any sense, but these are letters that through them all of his powers can be revealed. The letters eventually, if he lives in France, will be French, in Russian will be Russian, but they express the person saying, I am hungry, I am mad, I love you, I care, I want, I need, I think, this. They express a person's thoughts and his emotions. But the letters themselves are not relevant to the person himself. Letters. You can have a parrot can also. Since the letters are an external thing, therefore the soul is melubash with them. The aspect of the soul which is enclosed in letters, both in mitzum sum, is very, very contracted. A tremendous concealment. Ad and shir until ein murgeshes behem klal, you cannot feel in them at all chayot, any life force in a revealed way. Not even chayot shel tzamicha. You can't even feel in the letters any even emotion, nothing. The lowest levels you can't feel. Therefore, they are called domem. Therefore, the letters are called mineral, like rocks. This level, hevdel ben otiot ben kol sharakochot, the difference between letters and all of the other powers of the soul is amok harbe yoter, is much deeper than the difference between the other powers of the soul between one another. Like you said before, if you remember, we learned before, the difference between a plant and a rock is infinitely greater than the difference between a plant and a human being. Why? Because a rock is dead, and a plant at least is alive. So that's a tremendous quantum leap from death to life, which is not the case from a plant to a human. That's just one type of life to a more advanced type of life. The same thing within a human being. The letters in a human being are infinitely different from all the other emotions, etc. Because all the other powers of man, umevatim et adam atzmo, since they express the person himself, his intellect, his emotions, his ability to put the letters together and speak. All these others, therefore, ora nefesh kaim etzlo begiloi, that reveals the person. The difference, though, with letters show absolutely nothing whatsoever about the life of the person, who the person is. Ra gabi godol suga giloi. The difference between intellect and emotion, etc., is just how much is revealed, like the difference between a human and a plant. The ilu otiyot, but letters, they are only amshachot v'giloi. Letters are just revelations. Hein metziot menuteket menefesh. Letters are something which are separate from the soul. They don't show on anything human whatsoever. Kashem shebadom, just like in rocks, plants, and animals, and humans, in the big world, the level of rocks, you don't feel any life. And the difference between the other three, which are plant, animal, human, is just different levels of life. But that's infinitely far away from rocks. The same thing is infinitely far away from the letters which are in a person. A person has an ability to say letters. That's infinitely far away from his emotions and his intellect. Midos. What about emotions? Right. Let me just see what time it is. We don't have much time. Okay, you know what? Listen, I'll tell you what. Let's do something. We're not going to have time to finish this. I regret, because it's very beautiful what the Rebbe says, but we have no choice but to skip to Yud Beis. It's on page 123. So the Rebbe explains in very, very great detail and beauty the difference between these different aspects in man of intellect and emotion and letters, and above intellect is the power to unite all these letters and actually to speak, power of speech. Yud Beit, Koach Ein Sof Me'ala Arba Olamot. But above these four worlds of mineral, plant, animal, human, or any human being, of letters, emotions, intellect, and the power to unite all these letters, the power to speak, there's something higher. So also in the four worlds, we say Atzilut corresponds to man. Bria corresponds to the animals, Yetzira to plants, Asiya is to rocks. Shemelarot Sheim, even though they are all these worlds, including this physical world, which corresponds to rocks. These are spiritual worlds. Atzilut, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. You learned about this, right, Menachem, once? These four worlds? Yeah. B'kol zot, yesh shavion mesuyam ben arba dargot. There's some sort of equality, something that makes equal the four levels of these worlds and the four types of life, which we said are mineral, plant, animal, and human. Not only how they are in your soul, but also in the world. Kach, also in the source and the makor and the origin, which creates and enlivens these four worlds. There is a source to Atzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. V'hu na'aleh, something which is higher. The four letters of God create these four worlds. That also in them, they are similar to these four types. Domem, plant, mineral, plant, animal, and human. So the four letters of God's name, which create these, also are part of the creation. Mikach, from this is understood, Shekol Arba Otiot, that all of these 4 letters of God's name, including the letter Yud, Adayan Ena Emitiot, this is not true simplicity of the one light of God. We say God is one. God is one means God is one, there's nothing else. So if God's name is 4 letters, so somehow that must not be the essence of God. That still is somehow or other an emanation or a creation or something of God. Because they have some sort of a connection to the limitation. And that's what the Torah is. The Torah is above these names of God. It's above the worlds. It's above all distinctions. That's why the Torah was given in 5 voices. The Torah is not only above all the other worlds, it's not a 5th level. It contains all the other worlds as well. It's the source of all creation, and the creation is happening constantly. This is a proof. That there is in the Torah, Gam Darga Chamishit, the 5th level, Hanalit, which is higher than all of the other 4 types. Efsharim Emitit Hapshitut. This is the true, simple oneness of the Creator that encompasses all being and creates all being. Shezui Atzmus the Torah. This is also the essence of the Torah. You see, the Torah seems to be all broken up in all of these letters, etc. Says the Rebbe, that's what it seems to be. That's the external Torah. But the inside of the Torah is the will and the wisdom of the Creator Himself above the world of Atzilut. Kafishi mu'ucheret im atzmut or insof, how it is totally united with the oneness of God. How can it be? The Torah is a book. How can it be? The Torah is the source of all the worlds, and it's above all the worlds, and it's the essence of God Himself in the world, but it's a book in the library. How can it be? Let's see. This is the reason. Sha'akesher bein chatan, the connection between the chatan, the groom, and the Torah is in this, shebishneim, that in both of them there are this 5 voices. Kigam michatan, because also in a groom, a physical groom, a bride and a groom in the world, mitgaleh is revealed the power of holada. What is supposed to be when a bride and a groom get married? It's in order to have children. The main reason people get married is because of the first mitzvah in the Torah. Be fruitful and multiply. That's why a man takes a wife. Va'asher poru v'ruvu hitachted ansuim, because the ultimate purpose of marriage is to have children, to be fruitful and multiply. And that can only be done only from the essence of God. The essence of Hashem is this power of birth. Even though, of course, it depends on a simple physical act that even animals do. But in the end, the God is revealed as a human being. When 2 animals have a sexual relation, it doesn't come out a human being. A human being with intelligence, with all these aspects, comes out as a result of the wedding between a man and a woman. That's why if you make a chatan, a groom, happy, you marry these 5 voices, namely the Torah, the essence of the Torah, that from it comes all the other 4 types of creation. Koach Ein Sof, the power of Ein Sof, which is higher than any of the 4 types of creation, higher than anything else. All right, let me just say this in English because you have another class now. But despite the highness, the essential highness of this 5th level of the essence of the Torah, which is higher than all the other 4 levels, even higher than the 4 letters of God's name, nevertheless, the Torah was given in 5 voices. It wasn't given in one big voice. It was given in 5 voices. Why? In other words, in Matan Torah was given also the other levels, and the levels which are attached to the 4 letters of God's name. Atzilus, Bria, Yasir, and Asiya, or even more, human, animal, plant, and rock, minerals. Hadarga chamishis v'naila biyoter, was given together with all these other 4 levels. In other words, when God gave the Torah, he permeated the whole entire creation, spiritual, physical, and even the source of the spiritual, God's 4 letters, he permeated with his true oneness, with his 5th voice. Shari Klolos Torah, the whole Torah was given into 5 voices. In other words, the Torah is there to permeate every aspect of the creation with this 5th and highest level. The reason is, by means of these previous 4 levels, is enlivened the 4 levels of the soul: nefesh, ruach, neshama, and chaya. But by means of the essence of the Torah, which that's going to be the essence of the Mashiach, is aroused the highest essence level of the Jewish soul called Yechida. And this level this is totally attached to the essence of God. In other words, what are we trying to say? The whole world is a big miracle. And we don't see the Creator and we don't see the purpose, but the Torah is there to reveal it. So we can see in every detail of the creation how important every detail really is, and what the purpose and the use of every detail is. That's why the Torah was not given just one big voice that's above everything, but it was given 5 voices. The number 5, this 5th level, which is Yechida, the essence of the soul, is revealed in all of the other aspects of the soul and all the other aspects of the world. Therefore, the Torah was given, these 5 levels were all given together in order that this level of Yechida, the essence of God, can shine also into these 4 levels. The 4 levels of God's name, the 4 worlds, and also the 4 levels of our soul: nefesh, ruach, neshama, and chaya. And into the whole being of a person, that by means of this, a person has the ability, because the essence of God shined in the Torah, and the Torah shines in our aspects, and all of the aspects of our soul, man has the ability to transform the whole entire world, which is made up of these different types of creation: rocks, plants, animals, and human, into a dwelling place for the essence of God in this world.
Amen.